This draft is for the shawl collar. So you see how I have the front and the back already. And with this kind of collar, it's actually part of the front garment. So this becomes the collar back, and the facing is the part that shows to the front when you wear the garment, because it folds back, and that's what you actually see. And then the back facing is really important in this, because this and the construction is so important. So you see how the dots are all very carefully marked. This is the shoulder seam that's going to go into here. And so let's just put it to the garment part. And then this curves around like this. And then this is going to match to the back neckline. And so all of this is terribly important in the draft and in the construction. And getting just the right seam allowances. Notice we have 1/2 inch here, but we switched over to 1/4 and 1/4 because this would be really hard if you have a wider seam allowance there. And of course, we're always checking everything on a draft. You'll notice the side seams are good. After this dart goes in, the side seams will match just exactly. This is what the shawl collar looks like in fabric. So it's partly constructed so that you could see how important the construction steps are. You must stay stitch this corner because it's going to be clipped. And there's even a piece of fusible interfacing here because that's going to get clipped and it's kind of a stress pull there. So the shoulder seam is stitched right to that dot, and then the neckline is stitched. So the stitching comes to that dot, pivoted, and then comes this way. And that exact same thing will happen here on the facing, in that the stay stitching happens, and there's an inside corner that will match to an outside corner, and that hasn't been marked, so let's just put a little dot there. 1/4 inch in, 1/4 inch in, there's a dot. And that dot needs to match exactly to this dot. A good way to do that is to put a pin through the dots, make sure they go exactly through both, and then know that you're going to just pivot. And this will swing around here for the back neckline. And then this will swing around here. Not going to want to do it so much with pins for the shoulder seam. So the shoulder seam on the facing the two facings need to match up there. Oops. Now, over here, it's not even so that much. So you get to see how the garment is stay stitched on that corner and clipped so that this inside corner can match to this outside corner. And I've actually had this part pinned and then undone it and taken it apart. So it would be possible for me to show you this better than I could on the other one. So then this is swinging around here. Can you see? The back of the shawl collar is swinging around to the back of the neckline there. And this, this is really a good idea to baste here because it is, it's kind of tricky. And actually, I've also clipped, because this is an inside curve there on that back neckline. I've done a few clips so that it would swing around there. And then the shoulder seam of the back to the shoulder seam of the jacket front. That's what's going on here. And when I turn it through to show you, this won't be beautiful when it's just pinned, but you get a chance to see. Oh, not so bad. So that's what that corner looks like. And that's the way shawl collars are done. This is confusing here. But like I say, then a front facing is applied. So it's over here. The facing has been applied. and the back facing is put to that. And so when it's worn, this is what shows, like that. Here's an example of a shawl collar that I made in the past out of a wool. And as an example, I'll show you how it comes around to the back, and you've got a center back seam here. But it's really the facing that shows on the front side, and it is the jacket that creates the undercollar. In this case, there's an undercollar separate, and the textbook shows that also. There's another shawl collar, and this is a suede cloth, and I've really enjoyed this one in the past. And in this case, you see the jacket as the undercollar and the facing as the upper collar. And here's another shawl collar. Now, doesn't this one look different? Because there is a lapel that has a point, but the back of the collar is so small that it's just a little stand. But still, the construction is exactly the same. So just one more example.